Okay, good Erev Shabbos to everybody. We're up to Daf Kuf Gimel, the Mishnah Mamish at the top of the page, right? We're up to Mishnah at the top of the page. Let's see a pasuk in Chumash, guys. Stay in pasuk. That's not good. Okay, we could quiet now. Okay. Listen to this pasuk. Look how redundant it is. Kohen hamakriv es oilas ish. I know I'm getting feedback from something. 1 second. I don't know from who.
YK doesn't have himself muted.
Now he does. Okay. Kohen and makriv es oilas ish. And the kohen that brings the oila of an ish, guys, it's funny, right? The word ish is funny, yes? Or ha'oila, the or of the oila, the word oila is totally redundant. Asher hikriv is totally redundant. You just have makriv. La kohen la yiyeh. The pasuk could have said va kohen and makriv es oilas or ha'oila, or it should have said ha'or l'kohen hamakriv. Why do you have to go ahead and repeat hamakriv? Why do you have to repeat oilas? So this pasuk, fellas, let's go through it because we're going to spend the whole daf dashing this pasuk. So take a strong gander at it. Va kohen and makriv es oilas ish. Or ha'oila asher hikriv l'kohen la yiyeh. Okay, that's the pasuk. We'll refer back to it, but that is the pasuk we're going to dash in. So you see that the kohen gets the skin. Now in oila, we know it's totally burnt. Right, everything goes up there. Everything goes up there. The only even the horns would go up there as long as it's attached. Even the hooves would go up there as long as it's attached. Right? We said that. But the only thing was there's a din of hafshata, that the hifshedes oila. There's a mitzvah to go ahead and take the skin of the oila. The question is, what happens to that skin? The pasuk tells us that skin is a gift to the kahanim. The kahanim would have a leather. They have the okay. Says the Mishnah, kol shalei zocha hamizbeach bebsara. Anytime mizbeach is not zoicha to the basar of the oila, leizocha kahanim ba'oira. The kahanim are not zoicha ba'oira. So if a psul happens before the zrika, if before the zrika, Rashi tells us, right, there's a psul, and there wasn't a heta to the mizbeach as a result, that's what it means, that the basar wasn't the mizbeach. There wasn't a heta because there was psul happened kodim zrika, then the kohen did not get the skin. Shnemar, oilis ish, what does that mean? Oilish also ish. So we're going to dash in those words ish. The oila, it's oila ish. In other words, when it works for the ish, when it works for the owner, then what? Then the kohen gets the skin. But if it doesn't work because it became puzzle before the zrika, then the kohen won't get the skin. Now, if that's the case, you're telling me that it doesn't work for the oila, I'd say the following. I'd say oila shenishchda shaloi lishma, an oila that was geshachten shaloi lishma. Now we're going back to the first Mishnah in the Masechta. We know an oila that shaloi lishma is kasha, el shaloi oila bailam l'shem chayva. So I would think the following: let's say the oila is bought as a shlamim, since it's not basa for the owner. I would think the kohen does not get the skin. I would think the kohen doesn't get the skin. So on that we tell afa pishlei oila l'bailam oila l'kohen. Even though it's not oila l'bailam. It's even though the Baal is going to have to bring another one, the or is what goes to the kohen.
Dreads also the guy.
Okay, go put your kaisel back on, Avrami. Anyway, we have a din of the oila when it goes. If the basa goes to the mizbeach, the skin goes what to the kahanim, and there's even a case where because since the mizbeach got the meat, right? It's a kosher carbon, despite the fact that the Baal doesn't get anything from it. Nonetheless, what? Nonetheless, the skin goes to the kahanim. Don't think it's dafka oilas ish. We know, guys. An oil is brought b'neder b'nedava. A woman's also able to donate an oila. So don't think for a second that this din is unique to a male making that donation. Even if a female, a woman also, the skin would go to the Kahanim. And we'll see what the drasha of oilus ish there is. Then again, if you're telling me it's not literal, what exactly is the drasha? Oiris kochim kalim lebailim. The skin of kochim kalim is the bailim. If you bring a bechor, the shlomim, kochim kalim, maisa, then the skin does not go to the kahanim, that goes to the owner. Oiris kochim kedoshim. Let's say the skin of a chatos or an asham, not an oila, the kahanim, that goes to the kahanim. Kal v'chomer, uma em oila, shlei zacha bibsara, an oila that the kohen is not zeicher in the basa, only Hashem, because everything is burnt. The kohen gets the skin, zacha ba'oira, koche kedoshim, chatos v'asham, she zacha bibsara, where a kohen does get a piece of the action, meaning he gets the meat, einay din she yiska ba'oiris, and not a kal v'chomer that she get the or. A good kal v'chomer, guys, right? In other words, if you're getting the meat, you get what? You get the skin. Now you might think that the mizbeach will be mechiach that this is not a good kal v'chomer. It can't. Says Rashi. Ein mizbeach mechiach. Kloimar. Ve'ein lecha loimar mizbeach yochiach sheyiska bebasa ha'oila v'lei zacha ba'oira. In other words, what's your kal v'chomer, guys? Madach in a place where you don't get the meat, you get the skin. In a place where you do get the meat, is it not a kal v'chomer, you get the skin? Guys, the Mizbeach will disprove you. The Mizbeach gets the basar and it doesn't get the skin. Right? The Mizbeach gets the basar and it doesn't get the skin, so we can destroy a kal v'chomer from oila to what? To chatas v'asham. That is not a good pircha. Why? V'afal tal tetama b'kodesh kedoshim. She'afal pishe zachu kahan b'bsarim by chatas and oila asham la yiska b'oiran. That's not a good disprove. It never, ever, ever, ever gets the skin. Of the oila. No, so you can't. How do you want to disprove this kal v'chomer? Madach in a place where he doesn't get the basa, he gets the skin. Certainly a place where he does get the basa, he should get the skin. You'll say the mizbeach gets the basa and doesn't get the skin. That's because the mizbeach never gets the skin, but the kohen who gets it by oila, kal v'chomer should get it by chatas v'asham. Okay, we're going to spend the first part of the shir dashing the word oila sa'ish. Okay, so in the pasuk that we saw, right? It says kohen makav is oilas ish. Now, why does it come to go? It's not coming to be mamayit an isha. We said an isha the kohen would get the skin. So what is oilas ish coming to be mamayit? Which is the case of oilas ish where the kohen will not get the skin? What's the case where he won't get the skin? And that's what is under discussion over here. So Tanrabanan oilas ish prat lo oilas hegdish, and we're gonna have a machloikis, guys. What oilas hegdish means? Okay. So it's prat lo oilas hegdish, and we're going to have machlaikas. What exactly does it mean oilas hegdish? Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yosi bar Yehuda oimer prat lo oilas gerim, the oil of a ger. Good. So we have two. The oilas ish is prat lo oilas hegdish, prat lo oilas hager, and now we're going to explain why does it mean oilas hegdish, right? Hegdish is an oil. What does that mean? Okay, what does that mean? Says the Gemara. It's simcha. Okay. So what does it mean? Prat lo oilas hegdish. Amr Abchia bar Yosef. Prat lo oila haba min hamaysaros. This is prat to an oila that comes from the extra. Okay, guys, outside. You're all familiar with this. We know there are 5 chatas shemesais, right? And then they die. So let's pick one of them. Chatas shekipra ba'leha, chatas shemesa ba'leha. Let's say you have a korban asham and the owner died. Or it got lost, and he brought the second one, and then you found the original. What do you do with that? What's a rule of thumb? Kol shebechatas mesa ba'asham ri'iyah. The roye ad sheep b'mum, and then what do? You take the money, you buy an oila l'kayetz mizbeach. When the mizbeach is slow, you go ahead and have it. Good? That's called an oila that comes from moisrois. It's an oila that comes from the extra. It's not an initial oila. It comes as a result of what? Of an asham. It comes right to the cyclic thing. It comes as an asham. So in that case, that oila, the kohen will not get the skin. That's what it means. Oilas ish, an oila that comes as a result of an ish, and not an oila that comes as a result of an asham that comes about in this way. Okay. That would be very good according to Mandi Amma, who says that the moisois, the extra carbon, comes as a result as the nidvas tzibor, meaning this kayetzim mizbeach has no connection to the original owner. It's not ish. It's not ish. It's the oilus. It becomes a oilus tzibor, so it's not ish. You're going to exclude the skin to the kohen. It comes as the nidav of the yachid, the guy who it was his asham. It got a mum. He takes the money and he buys an oila. There's machlokes in Tamura. How do we view this oila? Is it an oilus tzibur or is it an oilus yachid? If it's an oilus yachid, it's oilus ish. If it's oilus ish, then he should get what? The skin, right? If it's an oilus ish, he should get the skin. So Mayik Lemeima, what are you going to say in this case? Says Rashi, Lenidvas Yachid, Baal of Shel Asham, the Baal of the Asham, Sheni Taiser, right? Who that was? It was Ibba Gablibin, it was left over. Who Atzmai Mevi Oila, he himself brings the Oila, Bidamav, with the worth. And therefore, Vu Soy Mechaleha, he does smich on it, Vishoichta, when the Sachecha, he brings what? Krevim Meshalai. He pays for the libations. So Einachinami, he should get the skin like that man the Omar. So Bishlema, you want to say Oilos Ish Prat Moisrois, that's good if the Moisa goes the Kayetzim Mizbeach, we view as the carbon of the Tzibor. Therefore, it's not Oilos a particular Ish, but according to the man the Omar, that the Moisa go to the person who the original Asham belonged to, Ma'yekala Meima, clearly that's Oilos Ish, and therefore he should certainly get the skin. That's the Kasha. Kidama Rava. Okay, and for the Gemara Kidama Rava, Ha'oila oila rishayna, ha'chanami ha'oila oila rishayna. You want to know? I'll tell you. Even according to that Madi Omar, I have a teretz. What's the teretz, guys? Eye contact. It says by the carbon tamid ha'oila ha'rishayna. The first carbon brought every day is the oila ha'rishayna. That's ha'rishayna. So you want to say that this din, guys, look at the pasuk. Again, the pasuk is important. Or, guys, look at the word ha'oila. You see the word there? Ha'oila the hay. We're going to dash in this ha'oila like ha'oila rishayna, meaning, when the kohen gets the skin, that when it was an initial oila, it was an oila rishayna from the time. But how did this oila come about, guys? It came about through an asham. So even like the Manda Omar, that it's the oila v'yachid. Nonetheless, since it came about as the result of an asham, it's not ha'oila, and the male of the skin doesn't belong to the kohen. So fitting in that pasuk, using the pasuk to identify exactly when the kohen gets the ar, it makes beautiful sense. So the first pshat again, we have two pshatim in oilas ish, prat oilas hegdish. The first pshat, according to Reb Chia bar Yosef, it's speaking about maisois. It's speaking about oilus that come about as a result of what? Of a carbon asham that got a mum. A carbon asham that you couldn't bring anymore. So you wait till it gets a mum, you sell it, you take the money, you bring it. Whether it's the money is considered oilus tzibur, or even if it's considered considered of the individual bringing it, for that individual, since it's not oila, it wasn't originally an oila, therefore what? Therefore, you will not get the skin. Guys, good? Okay. Reb Ivo and Reb Yanai, a second pshat in Prat Oilus Hegdish, guys. This is a second pshat in Oilus Hegdish. Again, guys, look at me. If the pasuk says Oilus Ish, and we identified Oilus Ish, Prat Oilus Hegdish, we're offering a second pshat in what Oilus Hegdish is. The first pshat, Reb Chia bar Yosef, if it was Maisrois, here's a second pshat. Pratlin matfis oila lebedek abayis. Okay, keep the eye contact. We know that a person could be magdish something, if it's an animal, if it's tamim, it can get kedushas aguf, or it can get kedushas bedek abayis. In other words, kedushas aguf, it's intrinsically kodesh, it goes to the mizbeach. Bedek abayis, it's used for the infrastructure of the Beis Hamikdash for different things. This person it was a carbon oila. It had kedushas aguf, and now you know what he does. He says it also should have kedusha of bedek abayis. It also should have kedusha bedek abayis. Question: Gemara and Tamura. Can my kedusha be chal on that already? If it has kedusha's bedek abayis, can kedusha's dam be chal on that? Can it go ahead and be chal on that? Loit demand the omar that it can be chal on that. Yes, the ors will not go to the kohen. In other words, even if you hold that it's not that, even if you hold that it can't be chal on the or, which is not going to go on the mizbeach, it could be chal. That or won't go to the kohen, and that's what it means. Prat loilas hegdish, loilas hegdish, hegdish lebedek habayis. So prat says Rabbi v'nemer yanai prat lematvis oil lebedek habayis. Now loy mi boy lemandiyama koshe bedek habayis tofse midaraisa. Not only the mandiyama says it is chal, right? Not only like Matiyoma that it is chal on kodesh. In other words, how could it be chal? There's machlekes, guys. This is machlekes in Tamura, right? We're not doing that sugya. The question is it chal in the first place or not? Like the Matiyoma that it's chal in the first place, so of course the or doesn't go to the owner. After all, it belongs to. It's not. You're not the owner anymore. It goes to bedek habayis. Good. Elafil Matiyoma loy tafsi. Even like the mandiyam, it's not toifis because it has a three adika. It has a kedusha that comes first. It had a kedusha of what of, and a kedusha of kedusha guf. Hani mili basar, aval or tofis, but or would be tofis. In other words, sai v'sai, whether you hold the kedusha is chal, or even if you hold the kedusha is not chal, it wouldn't be chal on the basa. It would be chal on the or. Memela, guys, it's not oilas ish. It's oil of hegdish. So we have a second pshat in oil of hegdish. First pshat moisrois comes as a result of an asham. A second pshat, it comes as a result of a hatfasa to bedek habayis on kedushas haguf. V'chein Rav Nachman Amar Rabbi Avua prat la oil haba min moisrois. Rav Nachman agrees with Rav Chia Bar Yosef, guys. He agrees oilus ish comes to exclude oilus hegdish. What is oilus hegdish? Oilus hegdish is that one that comes as a result of an asham that's no longer needed. Amalei Rav Hamnuna Rav Nachman. Now says Rav Hamnuna to Rav Nachman. Again, Rav Nachman agreed with Rav Chia Bar Yosef. Kiman, who would Rav Chia Bar Yosef say this according to? Right? He said it according to Rabbi Yehuda. Guys, look back at the Gemara where it says Gimel Mem Gemara. Tan Rabbanon oilas ish prat oilas hegdish divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Now, guys, Rabbi Yehuda is the one who said oilas hegdish. Comes along Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef and explains Rabbi Yehuda. You know what it meant, Rabbi Yehuda, oilas hegdish? It meant moisrois. Guys, good? You got it? In other words, oilas ish, what does that mean? Oilas hegdish. Who says that? Rabbi Yehuda. Who explains Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef explaining Rabbi Yehuda. It's speaking about moisrois. Frag the Gemara bomb. Hahadebe. Guys, Rabbi Yehuda had charata. Rabbi Yehuda had charata from this. Where do you see that? Shisha l'nedava. Guys, there are 13 pushkis in Mishkin and Shkolim. The 13 pushkis. Tiklin chadatin, tiklin adchitin, oilais, chatas, oif, all kinds. We had 6 of them were for the pushkis for oilam mizbeach. You remember these pushkis? They were thick on the bottom and thin on the top. So you can't hand. You can't go stick your hand in there to get it. You know, so over here you have, guys, so 6 of them will l'kayim mizbeach. Now watch. So shishlan nedava hala oila haba min hamoisros. So this is the mamish the case of the asham. Shalayu kahanim zakoyim ba'oira. The kahanim were not zoicha in the or. The Rabbi Yehuda. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. So that would make sense. Yes, that's what Rabbi Yehuda said. Moisros, they're not zoicha in the or. Because it's not oilus ish. That everything is good. But one second. Amalei Reb Nechemya, the Bar Pukla of Reb Yehuda, Reb Nechemya, says to him, Vimilei, and others say, Reb Shimon, it was Reb Shimon who said to Reb Yehuda, in Cain, if you're going to say that the Kahanim do not get the skin of the Maisrois, Bitalta Midrasha Shel Yehoyada HaKayin. You're going to be vatal the drasha of Yehoyada the Kayin. The Mishma Yayada. You're going to go ahead and be mevatel that drasha. Watch Rasha did he say? Ditnan, it's a Mishnah. Ze Midrash Darish Yehuda HaKayin. The pasuk says, Asham hu, Asham la Hashem. The pasuk says it's an Asham, and the Asham comes to Hashem. However, there's a pasuk that says that it should be kechatas ukeosham. If you look, guys, at the Rashi, where it gets wide, count down from the first wide line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down. Asham Lashem. Efsha Asham Lashem. You can't say the Asham goes to Hashem. Shekvar Nemar Asham Lekayin. Kechatas Keosham Tair Achas Lahem. So how do you explain, guys, on one hand, Asham Lashem and one to the Kayin? How's that possible, right? On one hand, you say the Asham goes to Hashem. On the other hand, it says Kechatas, right? So how do you explain that? So back inside. Kol sheba mishum chatas u'mishum asham yilokach ba'olos, and abasa is lashem and oira lekahanim. Let's say you separated money for your chatas, guys. You don't know what it's going to cost. You separated 500 bucks, and it only cost you 400. That extra 100 is called ma'aser chatas. It's extra chatas. Ma'aser asham we know about, right? We know what that is. You know what it says? If it's a chatas or an asham, the extra, go ahead, you buy carbon oil. You buy a carbon oil with that. Good? And here's what we need. Habasa Lashem, Asham Hashem Lashem, the basa goes to Lashem, because it's Kayasam Mizbeach, and Oira Lekahanim. And the Or goes to the Kahanim. So what do you see? That's the drush of Yahayada. Rabbi Yehuda didn't answer, so it must be Rabbi Yehuda's Maida by Maisrois that the skin does go to the Kohen. Again, you, Rav Chia Bar Yosef, said in Shitas Rabbi Yehuda that Oilas Kodesh means Oila Maisrois does not go, right? We see over here that Rabbi Yehuda had Charata, and he holds Oila of Maisrois. The skins do go to the Kahanim. So now, back to square one. What does it mean, Prat Oilas Hegdish, according to Rav Chia Bar Yosef? What's Pshat? So Amalei, Rav Nachman answered Rav Hamnuna. So Elamar b'maymuk misla, the oilas ish. If you're not telling me it's prat oilas hegdish, what's pshat in oilas hegdish, right? Guys, go back to where it says the word Gemara. Tan Rabbanon, oilas ish, prat oilas hegdish. Good. You attempted to say that oilas hegdish is moisturize. Yes. Yes. Let's get bobblehead. Yes. You failed, because you're saying it, and Rabbi Yehuda said this memra, and Rabbi Yehuda says the skin does go to the Kohen. We need a case prat where it doesn't go to the Kohen. It can't be Moisrois. Moisrois does go to the Kohen. So said now Rav Nachman to Rav Nuna. So, but Rabbi Yehuda said it. Oilas Hegdish. What did he mean? If he didn't mean Moisrois, what did he mean? You got it? What did he mean? On that the Gemara says, Amalei. So said Rav Hamnuna to Rav Nachman. Mukmino le b'magdish nechasav uchad Rabbi Yeshua. A person who's magdish his property according to Rabbi Yeshua. Now, what does this guy do, guys? He says everything I own should be kodesh. Everything I own should be kodesh. Berek habayis. If you have animals that are tamim, those animals are going to be upgraded to kedushas haguf. Yes. Look, uchad Rabbi Yeshua did not. Another Michigan shkalim. Hamagdish nechasav. A person's magdish his property. V'hoya behen, and among his property, what did he have? Behemoth aruyas legam mizbeach. He had behemoths that could go ahead and go on the mizbeach. Zecharim unekevos. He had males and females. Rabbi Eliezer Omer zecharim, the males, yimachrei litzarchei oilos. The males should go ahead and be sold for oilos. The kevos yimachrei litzarchei zivchei shlamim. They're sold for shlamim. With the mayhem, what do you do with their money? Yiplu imshar nechasav leberek habayis. You take that money, put it in leberek habayis. Rabbi Yeshua Omer, Secharim Atzman Yakrivu Oilos. You don't have to sell them; they themselves become oilos. Unikevos Yimachru Tzachei Shlamim, but in the kevos you should sell v'yavid demeim oilos. Ushar nechasim yiplu leberek habayis. Va'afil Rabbi Yeshua the Ama Adam Cholik Hegdeshai, that a person could go ahead and be mechalik his hegdish. Right, some goes to mizbeach and some goes to berek habayis. He's being mechalik. Some goes to mizbeach and some goes to berek habayis. Hani mili basar. Aval or typhus, but the or will be typhus leberek habayis, and in that case, fellas, the kohen wouldn't get it. Okay, guys, look at the case outside. Look at me. He's going ahead. This person, he goes to his house and his barn. And he says the whole kit and caboodle is kodesh. What's roy leberek habayis goes to berek habayis. The animals that are tamim, you sell them, you take the money, and you buy oilers. Okay, according to Yeshua, the oil itself you don't have to buy. The male animal you could use what as an oila. Good. We're not speaking about the females now. So now, guys, look at me. Even though these animals are kodesh, the oil for the Baal, the since you said all my nechasim should go to Bedek Habayis, on the skin, it belongs to Bedek Habayis. Memela, it's not oilas ish. Memela, the kohen won't get it. So this is the pshat, guys. This is the pshat. Prat la'oilas ish, prat la'kodesh. This is another pshat. It's speaking with your matfis lebedek habayis. Good? With your matfis going ahead, you make your whole as kodesh. So now let's go back. Let's review. So let's go back to the Gimel Mem again. Gimel Mem. Tan Rabbanon. The pasuk says again. Here's the pasuk in front of us. Let's see it again for the umpteenth time. Why does it mean oilas ish? The word ish seems to be extra, right? Oilas ish. Prat oilas hegdish. It means prat oilas of hegdish. Why does it mean oilas of hegdish? The first pshat was maisrois. If you go ahead, you have a case of a person died, he left over an asham, you take that money, you graze the animal, get some you take that money, and you buy an oila, that skin won't go to the kohen. That's the first pshat, according to Rabbi by Yosef. We slugged up that pshat because of charata. We had a second pshat. A person's matfish his animal lebedek habayis. He takes a kaddish animal, he takes an oila, and he says this oila should be lebedek habayis. Now it already is an oila. So the question is it chal or not? If it's chal, no problem. The or belongs to the bedek habayis. If it's not chal on the basar, but it still will be chal on the bedek habayis. Since it belongs to the bedek habayis, it doesn't belong to the owner. Since it's not oila ish, the kohen doesn't get it. A third pshat, the one that after we slug up the maisois, is it goes to Shitas Rabbi Yeshua. It says Shitas Rabbi Yeshua, if a person's magdish all this property lebedek habayis, and among his property he has a nice, clean, tamim dika male, that male automatically becomes an oila. But the skin would not belong to the kohen because the skin has kedusha bedek habayis. It doesn't belong to oilas ish. Those would be your three pshatim, hadlim pshat in the sugya. It's good. Hope so. Okay. New Gemara. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, prat loylas gerim. Not a new Gemara, but there was a second sheet. This is after, guys, we go up to Gemara again. Tan Rabbanan, oilas ish, prat loylas hegdish, to Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, prat loylas gerim. Good. Now we're explaining that second din, oilas gerim, not oilas gerim. Amal Rabbi Simai, Bar Chilkioi, Ravina, Atu ger lav yeshu. What do you mean? Ger is not a person? Of course he is. Amalei probably gershim mace. Vein lo yarshim. He dies. He has no yarshim. So it's not ish. There's no one who owns this. Therefore, what? The skin will not go to the Gahanim. Tan Rabbanan. Here's the new Gemara. Oilas ish. Ainli ela oilas ish. Oilas nashim. Take out the word gerim. Oilas nashim v'avodim inayin. How do you know that also the skins of nashim or avodim would go to the kohen? Tamaloima. Or ha'oila riba. It says or ha'oila. Again, this pasuk, guys, as we see, has multiple redundancies. So you have over here or ha'oila. Have the word or ha'oila. That seems to be extra because you already know it's an oila from this oilas ish. You know it's an oila already. So in Cain, matam aloyma oilas ish. Why do you have to say oilas ish? Oila also ish. Right? This is an oila that counts for a person. Guys, if you have a pigel, right? Pigel, the carbon's no good. The carbon's no good. Baal's going to have to bring another one. He's going to have to bring another one. Then the skin does not go to the kahanim. Then it would get burnt with everything. It doesn't go to the kahanim. That's what we learned from those words. I might think also I would include the case of Shaloi Lishma, where you went ahead and you shechted it, Shaloi Lishma. I might think the skin does not go to the kohen. Since it doesn't count for the Baal, on base. So I would say since they don't it doesn't count for the owner, I might think what the kohen does not get the skin. Tamaloymar or ha'oila mikol makan. It says or ha'oila mikol makan. Or of the oila in mikol makam, even as long as it was a kosher oila, he's going to get it. As long as it's kosher oila, he's going to get it. Ingli ela ora oila, oiris kosher kedoshim minayin. How do you know a chatas v'osham? How do you know the skins go to what? go to the Kohanim. So we had in Mishnah, we had a Kal V'chomer, guys, right? In the Mishnah, we had a Kal V'chomer. That's going to be the second opinion of this price. So we're going to have two other opinions, guys. How do you know, since this pasuk of that or is only speaking about an oila, how do you know the chatas for osham, the skin would go to the kohen? So our Mishnah said a Kal V'chomer. Madach, where the kohen does not get the basar, it gets the skin. In a place where he does get the basar, like chatas for osham, kol shkein, he should get the skin. That's going to be the second shot. Over here, we're going to have a pasuk. Tamad loymar asher hikriv. Good, guys. One more time. V'akoina makriv es oilas ish. Makriv is there, right? Why do you have to say asher hikriv? You said a makriv. Why do you say asher hikriv? It's extra. Why do you have to say? Why do you have to say asher hikriv? Just 1 second. Okay. So how do you know kodshe kedoshim? Tambaloima asher hikriv, guys. Asher hikriv is mashma kol karbonos. Anything you bring. In other words, guys, here's where you're dashing the pasuk. Look, the first pasuk, the v'akoina makriv oila, speaking about the oila. Now it's the asher hikriv. What's this extra hikriv? Kol karbonos asher hikriv. All karbonos that you makriv. All karbonos you makriv, you should get what? Get the skins. That's what it's saying. Kol karbonos mashma afilu chatas. So therefore, if that's the case, you should say koshem kalam too. Yeah. In other words, if you're saying all kibbanis, so why don't you get the skins of the shlamim and the bechor and the maisa? So yachal shanimar ba'av koshem kalim tamalayma oila. It takes that. It says the word oila. Ma oila kosher kedoshim av kol kosher kedoshim. So the first limud, how do you know that chatas osham? It's from the word asher hikriv. Rabbi Shmuel loimer. It's a Kal V'chomer. This is the Kal V'chomer of our Mishnah. Ora oila ainli ela ha'oila. Oira is kosher kedoshim minayin. How do you know the or of kosher kedoshim? Achatas v'asham. V'dinu, it's a Kal V'chomer. Uma oila shlei zacha v'bsara. The kohen doesn't get the basa. Zacha ba'oira is kosher kedoshim. Zacha ba'oira kama kosher kedoshim shezacha v'bsara and kosher kedoshim chatas v'asham, where the kohen does get the meat. Ein idin is not a Kal V'chomer shezachu ba'oira no sheyisku ba'oira. They should get the or. Says the Gemara, Mizbeach yechiach. 1 second, Mizbeach gets or doesn't get the skins. Shezacha b'basar v'zacha b'ar. You'll say, Mal Mizbeach shekein zacha b'mikzas. Taim v'kanim shezacha b'mikzas. Right, the Mizbeach loy zacha b'mikzas. It never gets it. It never gets the or. Memela. That's why it never gets the or. So therefore, even though it gets the basa, it never gets the or. Mashain came the koyin, which is zacha b'mikzas. So he's zacha by the or, even by the oila, where he doesn't get the meat, nonetheless he's zeicha the skin. Hayol mizacha mixas, since he's zeicha in mixas, where he only gets the skin and not the meat. By the carbon oila, zacha b'kula, he's zeicha where he gets everything, the meat and the skin by chatas v'asham. So therefore, you have two limudim, asher hikriv, and you have the second limud, Rabbi Shmuel's Kal V'chomer. A third limud, it's a svara. I don't need a pasuk, I don't need a Kal V'chomer, it's a svara, right? It's a svara. What's the svara, right? Rabbi Yomer. Kol atzmoy hutzrachnoi ela le'ora oila bilvad. The whole pasuk, fellas, we only need for ora oila. It's poshit, guys. It's poshit that koshem kalim goes to the kohen, the skin. In other words, we're learning all this Gemara based upon the first premise, oila, and everything from there. Says Rabbi, no, there is poshit. Koshem kalim is poshit. You needed a chiddush by oila. You know, he works like this. You need the chiddush by oila. Let's work it through. Let's work it through now. Let's state. Okay. Every place, the skin follows the meat. You want to follow, you heard of the paper trail, guys? This is the meat trail. Follow the meat trail and you'll know where the skin goes to. Por manisrafim, usir manisrafim, they get burnt, the meat gets burnt. For a same nisrafim, the or also gets burnt. Imahim. Chatas v'asham, v'zivchei shamei tzibor, right? Matan l'koyin, it's given to the koyin. Ratza mavshitin I saw, if they want they can skin it. Loi ratzu oichlin I saw, gabi oira, they can eat it with the skin. Good. Koshem kalim, the bailim, goes to the owner. Ratza mavshitin I saw, ratzu oichlin I saw. Al gabi oirin. So all these cases, the skin goes after the meat. So guys, Memela chatas asham. I know the skin. You know why? Because the kohen gets the meat, so he gets the skin. Just like permanent srafin, no one gets the skin. Just like kachim kalim, the owner gets the skin. Kachim kedashim chatas v'asham, the kohen gets the skin. So why'd you say they didn't by oila? Aval oila nemar boy the hifshid esa oila v'nitach oisel in sachecha. What? You skin it. There's a mitzvah to skin it. Therefore, I would think that what? That the kohen does not get the or. Tamaloima or ha'oila asher hikriv loy. Or oila asher hikriv loy hikriv. It belongs to you. So we have three pshatim, guys. Kachim kala, kachim kadashim. One you're going to learn out from the word asher hikriv. Two, kal v'choimer. Three, a svara. Okay, and the chiddush was kohen to tell me. You might think that what that it doesn't the basa goes to Hashem. It also goes to Hashem. It's for hifshit. No, you keep it. Geschmack. Now the pasuk. Now we're finished. We're just finishing darshaning the pasuk, guys. So we've darshan oilas ish. That means oilas hegdish, oilas gerim, ora oila ha'oila. The first one brought in the place of Asham. Asher hikriv. We just said kachim kalim, kachim kadashim, chatas v'asham. Lo yiyah. What is the word lo yiyah? We're going to darshan these words now, and we're going to finish the pasuk, and we're going to have a great Shabbos. Okay, so it says lo yiyah pratlet full yom. Full yom doesn't get the skin. V'oinin doesn't get the skin. Sheyachal lo yisko b'basa shehu le'achila yisko ba'ar shein le'achila. I might think since they're not zoichin basa, of course they can't eat it, but they're zoichin ar because it's not a bar achila. So maybe they're zoichin the ar. Tamad loimer lo yiyah pratlet mechusik kippurim full yom v'oinin. The one who gets the meat gets the skin. In this case, what? They don't get the skin, and therefore what? They don't get since they the kohen that could bring it and not the full yoim and not the mechus kippurim or the tamei. I say the full yoim oinen. Tanakama nami typically Medina. So why did Tanakama meaning the one who learned from Asher Hikriv? Guys, we're going back on the three reasons. Kachim Kedashim, right? The first is Tanakama, 3 lines down. Tamaloima Asher Hikriv, right? What did he not like about the Gesei Shava of what of Rabbi Shmuel? So he says Milsa da Asi b'Kal v'Chayim Torah v'Kosav Lakra. Something that you learn from a Kal v'Chayim Torah v'Kosav Lakra. Good? Yes. So in other words, since you can learn it from a kasha. You can learn from a Kal v'Chayim. So sometimes you have a Kal v'Chayim and the Torah writes. Now the question is, Rabbi Shmuel who has a Kal v'Chayim, what does he do with Asher Hikriv? Rabbi Shmuel who learns Kachim Kadashim, Chatas v'Asham, the skin goes to the Kohen. What do they do? What did he do with the limit of the Tanakama, Asher Hikriv? Rabbi Shmuel, Hay Asher Hikriv my Ovidlei. What does he do with the limit of the Tanakama? Pratlet Full Yom Mechusik Kippurim v'Oinan. Good. Now 1 second. Why does he have to learn it from Asher Hikriv? He can learn it from the same place he learned it from Lo Yiyeh. V'tepilei mi Lo Yiyeh. The Tanakama learned from where's Asher Hikriv, guys, right? Asher Hikriv he learned out even Kachim Kadashim. Rabbi Shmuel said Kachim Kadashim. I have a Kal v'Chaymer. What did the Tanakama not like about Rabbi Shmuel's Kal v'Chaymer? Nothing. He liked the Kal v'Chaymer. Milsadas Kal v'Chaymer Tarach v'Kosav Lakra. What did Rabbi Shmuel not like about Asher Hikriv? In other words, he has his Kal v'Chaymer. What does he do with Asher Hikriv? In other words, he must use it for something. What use it for something? You know what he uses it for, fellas? For Tful Yoim and Mechusik Kippurim in Oinen. Fred the Gemara. Why didn't he like Lo Yiyeh? Guys, look at the board. We had the Tana who learned that from Lo Yiyeh. What did Rabbi Shmuel not like that Lo Yiyeh to teach us Tful Yoim that he went to Asher Hikriv? That's the kasha, right? What did he not like about the limit of the other Tana from Lo Yiyeh? Says the Gemara, "V'tepiglim Lo Yiyeh." Rabbi Shmuel Tamei, Dam Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Yishmael. Nema ba'oila Lo Yiyeh. It says by oil Lo Yiyeh. V'nema ba'asham Lo Yiyeh, and it says by Asham Lo Yiyeh. Ma'ala halam by Asham atzmoisav mutarim. So its bones are mutar. Avkan by koyin atzmoisav mutarim. So guys, what? Since Rabbi Shmuel uses Lo Yiyeh for what? Gesei Shava, he doesn't have it available to teach me Tful Yoim. Therefore, he has to learn it out from Asher Hikriv. Okay? So he learns lo yiyeh as a kal v'chaymer from what? From asham and oila. That just like in asham the bones are mutter, so to oila, despite the fact that you're burning the whole thing, the bones are mutter. Says the Gemara, mufni, it's got to be gzeira shara mufna. Now, why do we know? Gzeira shava, if it's not mufna, you can ask kashas on it. But if it's mufna, if it's extra, there's no kashas. What has to be mufna? The loy mufna, if it's not, I have a big kasha from asham to oila. Iklon nefrech malo asham. You know why the bones are mutter? Shekem besari mutter. It's basas mutter. Lo yiyeh kroyaseruhu. Therefore, lo yiyeh it must be is extra. It's mufna to teach me what? Because there is shava that even though the rest of the oila is basa is burnt, nonetheless the atzamis are mutter. So yetzimederenu, we have the beautiful the pasuk we darshan that. Let's go for the final time. We darshan this pasuk oila seish. We said either the hegdish or we have three pshatim in that, either moisrois or it's bedek abayis or magdash kol nechasav, and or in those cases it's not going to go to the kohen. We said ha'oila. We said dash in the word ha'oila. The oila b'shoinim, not an asham, not that came out as a result of an asham. Asher hikriv. This is speaking about what kachik kedoshim according to Tanakama. But is can teach me what noiser and tful yoim and Chosik Yippurim and Oinen would not get the skin. I wish everyone a great Shabbos. Thank you for listening. See you Be'ez Hashem, Motzei Shabbos.